Now up to this point I have got all the models done and I got all the lighting set up properly. Now it's time for me to assign to create and assign a certain materials to the each object one by one. So in this tutorial I'm gonna take you through some of the useful materials that we're going to quickly put into the scene to get an idea how it looks and how to use them. Now I'm going to start from the simplest material shader. Before you start this job, you really need to have a clear image about what object, what model, use what material. So in this case I'm gonna use glass material for this water jug and these two teacup. You don't really have to follow me, you can assign other materials to water jug. Let's say you give ceramic for the water jug and give the glass material to something else. To assign a material shader to the object, you need to select that object first. So I right click to select the water jug and go to the material tab, and here I can see the default diffuse shader. I'm going to get rid of it. That shader was just used for the lighting test. Now I don't need it anymore since I have done that job already. So I'm going to create a new material just for this water jug. I can rename it immediately. So just call it Still Life jug. And then I'm going to change the surface of the surface type for this shader to glass BSDF, and you can see the IOR, which stands for the interaction of reflection, is 1.45, which is the standard glass IOR value. Okay, and we can get here to the object node graph, and you can see the surface attribute of this material output is linked to this glass material. Okay, and now if I'm going to hit F12 to render this scene, well, actually you don't have to render the whole image just because we haven't assigned the other materials to other objects. So what I can do is I can use Shift B to define my render region, and now you can see I have this red box. So just the click Shift B and click and drag to cover your desired render region, and when you hit F12, Blender just render that specific area, so it will save you tons of time. So now you can see I get this glass material. Okay, then I'm going to assign the same texture to these two teacups. So I'm going to select this teacup. Let me just do it one by one. Instead of creating a new glass material, I can reuse it. So you can see, yeah, I got this SL water jug. So probably I need to change this jug to, let's say, glass, just to give a more generic name. And I'm going to select the next the teapot and replace that default shader with the glass shader. And now if I'm going to hit F12 again and render it, you can see now this water jug and these two teacup became glass. Now I'm going to move to the next material shader, the ceramic. I'm going to apply the ceramic material to this bowl and to these two plates. So with the selection of this bowl, I'm going to get rid of this default diffuse shader, and then I'm going to create a new one and call it SL and score ceramic. Well, different from glass material, the ceramic material needs two surface nodes. The diffuse BSDF, this one, and I also need another shader, glossy shader. So basically we use the diffuse to determine the regular color of this ceramic. So I can set this one to white, give a little bit of yellow, and the roughness is 0, so it should be a glossy ceramic material. And also we need the glossy shader to determine the color or the attributes or the roughness of its highlight. So I'll need to bring this one down to 0 as well. And I want mix this diffuse and glossy material by using a mix shader. So basically this mix shader can mix two shaders up and then bring their average value to the final material output. So now you can see I got this ball set up, and I'm going to select this plate, this ceramic, and this one I'm going to change this one to ceramic too. So now the bowl, these two plates, they are all assigned with the ceramic material shader. Now I'll go back to the camera perspective view and Shift B to click and drag just the one to create a new render field for these ceramic objects, and hit F12. You can see I got this nice ceramic material applied on this bowl and plates. So you can see those white color with the high reflection. Now after ceramic, the next thing that I want to work with is the metal shader. There are 3 different objects that I want to use them for the metal material. The ceiling light shader, these 2 wall shelf brackets, and this photo frame. Actually, this photo frame has 2 parts, the top text part and the frame part. So I'm gonna use metal material for these 3 different objects. So I'll start from the ceiling light. With the selection of the ceiling light, I'm going to get rid of the default shader, and I'm going to apply the new material called metal. Just call it metal, and then I'm going to use one of the surface type called it should be somewhere here. It's called anisotropic shader, which is down here. So the anisotropic shader, so you can preview this material from this preview window. So it gives you a really nice metal material. The anisotropic shader actually is the high gloss shader with the stretched highlights. So if I'm going to increase the roughness to 1, you can see, and I increase this value to 1, you will get these very long and slim highlights. If I bring this anisotropy value down to 0 or 0.1 and bring the roughness down to 0, it will gives you this kind of material. So now I feel quite happy with this one. Then I'm going to move on to the next object. So select the love and then select the metal in this material library. I'm going to select this one and going to apply the metal, and I'm going to select these two shelf brackets and just apply the metal material on it. Now here we go. If I hit Control B and just make this new rendering field to cover these three objects and hit F12, and you can see I got these nice metal materials. Well, for the cloth material, I can just use one slot called velvet. So select this cloth and just get rid of it, and I'm going to create a new material, call it still life _ cloth, and then I'm going to choose one of these surface type here called velvet, and from the node editor you can see my velvet BSDF node linked to the surface in this material output. So the velvet shader actually gives you the blur to mix up the the reflection and the regular color. You can use the velvet velvet shader to change the color. So I can give a little bit reddish here, and I can probably just add a new shader called translucent, just leave it here. So if you want to give it, let's say, the half transparency feel to this cloth, like if you want to make it to look like a silk material, you can add a little bit of transparency here, and then I can add a shader, mixed shader down here. I can just color it, just leave it as what it is. What is alright. So now if I'm going to render this scene, you can see I got this nice cloth material with about just a little bit translucent and a little bit reddish color on it. So now I'm going to move to the wall and the window. I'm going to apply the same material shader for the house, for this room. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select the room, select the wall, and I'm going to get rid of this default diffuse, and I'm going to apply the new material shader called wall or house, and I'll just use diffuse color, fine, and I'm going to increase the roughness to give the feeling of like a concrete. So could be 0.5, and I can change the color to, you can change to whatever color you want, but don't give too strong color because they're gonna distract your main stage. Actually, this water jug, all these stuff on table, they are the main point of interest in this scene. So just wanna give some really light color for this wall. So probably just like that. Now I'm going to render the whole scene. So I need to go back to the camera tab and tick off the border, this option. Now you can see that red box has been removed from the camera perspective view. Now I can render the whole scene. I hit F12, and now you can see, wow, I got purple wall. Well, no, looks not that bad, but the color is a little bit too strong, so I'm going to back to there, and I'm going to select and drag this little dot to the center. Now I'm going to render again. Now it's much better. Okay, the last but not the least is this wood material. Probably the wood material is the most complex material in this job. This is because we need to grab a wood texture, this bitmap image, and assign it to our texture, to this 3D object. So that means we need to get contacted with the external texture file. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new, oh sorry, I forgot to tell you that I need to apply this wood texture to the table and the top board of the wood shelf. So there are two things that I want to use for this wood texture. Now I can select this table and remove the default diffuse shader, create a new one called call it wood. Now I'm going to assign a texture, a bitmap image, to this diffuse shader. Just wanted to replace this white default color. Now before I'm going to assign a texture, firstly you need to find the prop picture and save it into your texture subfolder underneath your project folder. So this is very crucial. All the images that you want to use or you want to load them to the 3D scene need to be saved in these subfolders. So when we're going to relocate the project, the whole project, those supporting files can be traveling together with your Blender file. So now I have got my wood texture image here already. You can Google, just type wood texture in Google. You can find plenty of wood texture. If you go, you also can go to, let's say, some texture hosting website like cgtextures.com. It will gives you a lot of options for the different materials texture as well. So now I'm going to back to here, Shift A to create a new texture image texture node, and then I'm going to open, and you can see just because everything is saved in the project folder, so Blender can redirect me to that texture folder straight away. So I'm going to find this wood image and link them together. And now if I'm going to hit Ctrl B and just drag and click to render this table field, hit F12, you can see I got these yellowish wood texture. Well, you probably noticed that we can't really see the wood texture in our rendering output. We can find the texture details in the previews window here, but not in the render output. Well, this is just because we haven't mapped this bitmap image onto this table model properly. The ratio and the proportion of this wood texture image is absolutely different from our table. So at this stage I need to add a couple of more shader. There's one I'm called let me find vector. It's an vector option called mapping. I'm going to connect these vector to vector and pan over to the left, get more space here. Then I'm going to the input and select the texture coordinate and link the generated option to the vector. Now if I'm going to hit F12 and run it again, you can immediately see this wood texture. So now I just want to increase the rendering area to let it cover the whole table, so I can have a better view of the table with the wood texture. And this is my rendering output. So really nice, it got wood texture lined up on this table, but you can see this wood texture is too big. It kind of like the whole picture is mapped on the table and is stretched. So I do really need to scale it down. To get the high intensive wood texture on the table, we actually need to scale the unit texture down and repeat the texture on the top surface of the table. So I can achieve that by adjusting the scale value in this mapping node. So I can find X, Y, and Z scale value here. So basically you can scale the texture up or down along X, Y, and Z. I don't need to worry about Z because I'm not going to do anything for the texture on the side face of my table board. So I'm going to increase the value for X and Y, just for X and Y, from 1 to 2. So in other words, it means it tells Blender to repeat that texture twice along X and Y axis. Now I'm going to hit F12 to get a new render output. And you can see, compared to the previous one, I get better texture, wood texture at this time. If you think still got a little bit stretch in the middle here, so I'm going to give 3 for X and Y. See if I can get better. Now it's getting much better. You can see it's like the real wood table. Okay, now I'm going to assign the same texture, the wood texture, to the top board of my wall shelf. So select that piece of board and apply that texture to it. Hit F12. Sorry, I need to recreate a new rendering box and hit F12. So now you can see I got the wood texture for 2 objects, the wall shelf and this table. Well, the last thing that I want to do in this tutorial is to apply a realistic photo, this photo, to our photo frame. Now I got this metal material on this photo frame entirely. So if I render this picture, and you can see I got nothing in this photo frame. So basically I just want to apply that photo to the middle front face and remain the metal material to the rest part of this frame. So I got this photo in the middle wrapped around by this metal material, and at this time I need to apply multiple materials to one single object. All we need to do is we need to select that object, hit tab key to the edit mode, because from there I can actually select the different face. So I'll just select the front middle face, don't touch any other faces on the border of this photo frame, just front face. And then I'm going to this plus sign and add a new material, call its photo, still life, underscore photo, picture out here. And with the selection of the second material shader, I'm going to a new window called UV editor. Now the UV editor is the place where we can tell Blender how to unwrap the model faces and how to apply the texture to the different part of the model. Now I'm going to load this image to the UV editor stage. To load it to the stage, you can go here, just underneath the UV editor panel, you can find an image menu and open image, and just double click and to find this photo bitmap from our texture subfolder. And then what you can do is you can manipulate this selected field in the text editor. You can scale it up along x-axis to make it just fully covered this photo. Well, now at this stage, if I hit F12 to render the scene again, and you can see the photo still hasn't been assigned to that photo frame. Well, this is just because we haven't tell Blender to apply the second photo shader to that specific face. And also in the node editor, you can see I still haven't got an image texture node yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Shift A, texture, image texture, and I'm going to load that texture, that photo, to Blender. And now I'm going to hit Assign key to assign it. Now you can see that picture is loaded to our photo frame successfully. Now if I'm going to hit F12 and render the scene again, now you can see that photo is placed in the middle with the metal frame and the lava texture on the top. So that's really nice. This is really what we want.